Hello, I'm Anna Lappé, Executive Director of the Global Alliance for the Future of Food. I've spent my whole career working to transform food systems. For all of that time, I've been grounded in a vision of a food system aligned with these principles, one where the food we grow is good for our bodies, for the planet, and for all of those who work along the food chain. I'm delighted to share insights from my work and from the Global Alliance for the Future of Food's work over this past decade to ignite a conversation about the principles underlying a sustainable, equitable, and healthy food system. In this module, I want to reflect on what innovation means in the context of food systems transformation. The simple dictionary definition of innovation is the introduction of something new. This could be a product, a practice, or a policy. We often place value on the term innovation. We assign to it the value of goodness, the value of better, the value of efficiency. But to what end? This is where principles come into play. Principles can be both a destination and a compass. In our work in food systems, principles can help define our vision of food systems transformation while helping us achieve a future of food that aligns with our values. I want to help you understand innovation in terms of these underlying values and help you distinguish between principles-based frameworks for food systems transformation versus narrow, reductionist, siloed, or what sometimes are called silver bullet approaches. Before I introduce the principles, I'm going to start with a story about two food system innovations to solve the same problem: warding off pests on farm fields. As I tell you about each one, ask yourself, these may both be innovations, but which one is a better solution? What are the positive and negative aspects of each approach? What are the implications from a systems perspective? Who benefits? Who's harmed? In other words, I encourage you to look beyond whether the innovation solved the immediate problem and ask if it leads to positive or negative systems change, and whether, ultimately, it aligns with your values. One of these innovations is an insecticide called chlorpyrifos. The other is a chili pepper. Let's start with the chili pepper. For centuries, farmers have innovative, creative uses of plants from their own farms to manage pests. The chili pepper is just one example. The capsaicin found in chili peppers is a natural repellent, and farmers have used crushed chili peppers made into a spray to protect crops from pests. It works. Pests stay away, crops flourish. And what about chlorpyrifos? This insecticide was introduced to be used in agriculture by Dow Chemical in 1965. Chlorpyrifos is derived from nerve agents so strong that they were used as a weapon in the Second World War. In the post-war period, Dow started advertising the chemical for agricultural purposes and for home pest control. And yes, it does kill pests. It's also remarkably neurotoxic to people. Experts now know there's no safe level of exposure in utero or for infants and children. And it's been banned from most home use in the US since the early 2000s for just this reason. In 2022, the US Environmental Protection Agency actually discontinued the use of chlorpyrifos in most food applications. And in 2019, the European Union voted to ban chlorpyrifos from the EU market because of these health concerns. I should note, though, that around the world it's still widely used on food crops. Even here in the United States, it can still be used on food and animal crops intended solely for export. It's allowed on golf courses and still in some limited use in homes. So, these products are both innovations, but which is the better solution? The chili or the chlorpyrifos? Take a second to think about it. What do you think? Are you leaning toward the chlorpyrifos, maybe because its name makes us think of scientists in a lab, or because it's a more recent innovation? Or are you leaning toward the chili pepper, the one that's not risking the health of the people exposed to it? While we could call both of these products innovative, if we take a systems perspective and seek out innovations based on principles of health, well-being, and biodiversity, one is clearly a solution aligned with those values. The other is not. If that surprises you, I'd encourage you to rethink the idea that only something new or high-tech counts as innovation. An innovation is a solution to a problem, but innovations themselves are not neutral. And this is what I want to get you thinking about here. Not just what do we count as innovation, but more importantly, what kind of innovations should we celebrate and elevate? If innovations are not neutral, then how do we know which innovations are worth our time, our effort, our public subsidies? That's where we need our reflection on innovation to be guided by principles. There are countless solutions like the chili pepper. Solutions that grow out of communities and long-held local knowledge, solutions that nurture the interdependent relationships across an entire system, solutions that might have existed for hundreds, even thousands of years, even if they're not widely documented in traditional academic sources. These solutions are the building blocks of the resilient food systems that farmers and communities have nurtured, resilience that is even more important as we face a climate unstable future and other pressures on farmers. These solutions deserve the attention of researchers, funders, policymakers, and yet a very narrow view of what counts as innovation, what counts as evidence in scientific contexts, means that these solutions can be dismissed or disregarded. Like innovation, science and evidence it generates are not neutral. Scientific evidence and the solutions it promotes support certain social structures and power dynamics. They can centralize control or they can help democratize decision-making. They can have harmful impacts on our health and our culture and our climate, or they can promote general well-being. As the political thinker Langdon Winner wrote, scientific knowledge, technological invention, and corporate profit reinforce each other in deeply entrenched patterns that bear the unmistakable stamp of political and economic power. In other words, we need to critically examine what power structures science, innovation, or technology reinforce. If an innovation is a solution, we need to think beyond just the immediate problem it may be solving and ask, who is it solving the problem for and who benefits, who's harmed? What are the system-wide impacts of the innovation that might not be immediately obvious? One of the powerful things about principles is that they're values-based and action-oriented. They tell us not only what to stand for, but how to act. Principles are also a tool we can use to evaluate different types of innovations. Through our principles, we're naming what we believe success looks like, which helps us to evaluate in a transparent way. But principles also require us to think across multiple dimensions, to examine both the problems and the solutions holistically, and to consider potential trade-offs and unintended consequences. That means thinking at a systems level rather than focusing narrowly on intervening to solve one individual problem. To do that, we look at the system in which that problem exists. At the Global Alliance for the Future of Food, we developed a shared set of 7 principles. They're our guide for all that we do. They're what we connect with to ensure we're on the right course, staying true to our mission. Our 7 principles of food systems transformation are renewable, resilient, equitable, diverse, healthy, inclusive, and interconnected. We use these 7 principles to guide our decisions, how we work with our allies, how we evaluate our effectiveness, how we prioritize our initiatives, and so much more. These principles help us avoid siloed interventions and unintended consequences. They focus our energy where we think it will make the most difference to the whole system. We've developed a tool to apply these principles, a tool anybody can use. Our Principles for Food Systems Transformation Toolkit walks you through step-by-step how to use these principles to guide decision-making in complex situations. To give a bit of a taste for how we use these principles, let's consider how we might apply them to evaluate a food systems innovation. Think about an innovation of interest to you. It could be one based on traditional ecological knowledge like regenerative agriculture, or more recent approaches to addressing food system challenges like biofortification or genetically engineered seeds. To evaluate this innovation, we might ask these questions prompted by our 7 principles. Is it renewable? Does this innovation respect the integrity of the natural and social systems that are the foundation of a healthy planet? Will it keep people healthy for future generations? Is it resilient? In the face of a planet facing the dual crises of climate change and biodiversity collapse, does it support systems to be durable, to adapt economically, and to regenerate as needed? Is it equitable? Will this innovation help all people to access nutritious food and promote sustainable livelihoods for us all with no one left behind? Is it diverse? Does this innovation force a one-size-fits-all approach, or does it respect the diversity of ecological and cultural heritages all over the world? Is it healthy? Does this solution advance the health of all of us, of people and animals and our wider environment? Does it support the healthy communities that depend on all 3? Is it inclusive? Does it genuinely involve all those who produce, process, and consume food, no matter if they're from rural or urban areas or live in poor or wealthy communities? And finally, is it interconnected? Does this work address the interdependence of food, people, and the planet, recognizing the complex relationships between different parts of the system? To ensure a thriving food system, we must bring an inquiry to our evaluations of science, innovation, and technology. What research questions, innovations, and technologies are contributing to improve the whole system? What's in line with our principles? This evaluation requires us to think in terms of systems, not in silos. It requires us to be guided by principles and actively ground ourselves in them. I encourage you to take some time to reflect on what are your guiding principles for the work you want to do in food systems. What are the principles that you want to guide your compass? And how do you ensure those principles support you to keep a clear-eyed focus on systems, even if, for instance, your work focuses at the biomolecular level of food? What could that balance look like? You'll have the opportunity to apply these principles in a reflection exercise at the end of this module. And you can learn much more about the Global Alliance for the Future of Food and how we use these principles as a framework for action by visiting our website at futureoffood.org. Thank you so much for listening.